Hi, I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines, and today I'm going to take you on a drive with me in the new Lexus TX 350, the biggest Lexus ever made. So today we're driving the 2024 TX 350 in the Executive 6-passenger configuration with the Cloudburst Gray exterior, which is great because it snowed this morning and the car got a little bit covered in snow and now there's some watermarks, but you don't see it as much because it's gray. Also, it's going to be very interesting to try out the handling. We did pick the windiest road in Niagara for this test, as well as the 4-cylinder engine that everybody seems to be curious about. Now let's go for a drive. So I purposely picked the windiest road in Niagara, the Niagara Parkway, to show off the handling characteristics. And this was something that on the TX I was very impressed on. And you can kind of see this is a pretty windy road. And even to go the speed limit here seems very fast, but the TX handles it amazingly well. And this was something that I noticed the GX and LX were just too heavy. They were too top heavy, too big. The V8s that are in those add a lot of weight as well. And in the TX, with the fact that it's a unibody and the fact that it has that 4-cylinder mounted very low, it handles amazing. And I can only speak to, I haven't had it full of people and whipped it around corners or anything like that, but with just me in it or one other person, you don't feel like it's a big vehicle when you're driving it. I mean, when you're parking it maybe, but not when you're like actually going down the road at any rate of speed. It seems really good that way. I already mentioned the handling being super tight, which is really important, but also the suspension and the way it feels. Now this road isn't super bumpy, but since the wheelbase of the TX is so large, I do find it does have a really nice soft cushion to it. I haven't taken it on, through any construction zones or anything like that yet, but I'm sure that it'll do fine, especially with the noise canceling wheels, which this one has because it's the Executive. I think these 21-inch do have noise canceling. But let's talk about some of the amenities that's up here. So we have things like the wireless charger, the nice big screen with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Okay, so I usually use the Android Auto system. I really like the way it looks, I like the way it works, I like how it works with my Spotify account. But to do some of the other things that you're gonna need to do, or to change any of the vehicle settings, you have to press this little button in the bottom left corner, go into the main options screen, and then hit Lexus. Now we'll be able to see the navigation that's built into the Lexus, so this particular model has that, and we can get to like the vehicle settings, the customization, any of the Bluetooth stuff. So you can't do that in the Android screen. I will say, I just heard there's gonna be an over-the-air update on a lot of the Lexus vehicles to make that experience a little bit better. More importantly, just being able to flip between Android Auto and the normal Lexus interface system. So that'll be really cool to see unfold and just keep leveling up that multimedia system. We do have the driver monitoring system. I will say a lot of the times it goes off on me for no reason. I don't know, maybe it thinks I'm a little bit of a distracted driver, but I remember I was driving on the road the other day and I saw a dog walking. So I was like, oh, look, there's a dog over there. And the car was like beeping at me saying like, hey, pay attention, like put your eyes on the road. And I was like, okay, you know what? Probably I deserve that. But it does do that once in a while. Other than that, heads-up display would be another favorite of mine. I've mentioned in other videos, once you get used to the Smart Touch interface, or the Smart Touch steering wheel, I should say, it's very intuitive. Like I can just bounce between pages on there. I know what I want to see. I know where it's located. I've customized it to where I want it to be. On a test drive for the first time, you'll find it confusing. You'll be like, I don't know what these buttons do. It's a little bit overwhelming. But once you get used to them, it's super intuitive. It's very it becomes sort of like a motor memory or like muscle memory, I guess you could say. And then you'll have it just set up the way you want it, which is cool. It does have paddle shifters, which I don't know if anybody's ever gonna use them, but they're there. Maybe to get it into a lower gear so you can sort of punch it a little bit. but I do find the transmission is good. Like, it's never really searching for gears like what we saw in the first iterations of like the 8-speed transmission. This is like back years and years ago. It doesn't really do that. It seems to always know which gear it should be in. And with the TX and this 4-cylinder setup, it has a very sort of torquey first gear and probably second gear as well. And that was to be able to put that power down from a stop or from a low speed and not feel like a heavy vehicle. And that's the part that I do encourage everybody to test drive one, because I've had people say like, what about the 4-cylinder? What about the 4-cylinder? It's such a big car to have a 4-cylinder. But the way it's geared and the way that that engine and transmission setup sort of are matched, it doesn't feel like a 4-cylinder at all. Yes, there is some noises that are piped into the cabin so it doesn't sound like one. I'm sure without those it would sound like a 4-cylinder, but it doesn't feel like one, and that's what's really important when you're driving around. And again, this is sort of like a family hauler, like a people hauler, so it's not like you're going to be racing it on the track or anything like that. I do want to do a test where I race a GX and LX versus the TX, because I think with this lightweight powertrain, I think it would feel faster than the GX and the LX, because those vehicles feel very beefy, and I think this one feels pretty light in that sense. I noticed that the windshield is super huge, and it's angled quite nicely. It's a little bit more of that truck-like, bus-like sort of seating position. You have some nice vision lines on the hood that I can see. It's a very upright seat, and I noticed all of the windows in the whole vehicle are massive. So that back window is huge, the side windows are super huge, so there really isn't any blind spots. And if you had a truck full of people, you could switch that digital mirror on, and then now it doesn't matter how tall they are in the back seat, I can still see into the rear, which is super important. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a little 0 to 60 test. I did put it in sport mode, so we'll sort of see how this goes. And there we go. Not too bad. Like I said, probably with a bunch of people in here, it'd probably be a little sluggish. But with a turbo, I don't know, you probably wouldn't feel that much different, but it's pretty good. Overall, not too bad. Okay, so now that we're in Niagara-on-the-Lake, I wanted to try out the advanced park feature. Because of the TX being such a long vehicle and a little bit wider than some of the other Lexuses, I think this is one of the times that people will use that feature in like tighter situations. So let me show you it at work. Okay, so now that I initiated the auto park feature, the car will sort of start doing its own thing. It will use the sensors around it to adjust and sort of keep itself in check. You can totally let go of the steering wheel and the brake. Technically, you don't have to keep on the brake or anything. I would hover the brake just in case. You never know if the surroundings around you might change, like if someone comes running up or something. But for the most part, the car knows what it's doing. You can pick the parking spot and it'll keep itself centered. It knows when this car's around, when this car's parked. It can read the lines of the roads. It can read the curbs, and it'll try its best to be as center and the right angle. I don't know if it avoids puddles though, so maybe keep an eye out for puddles. But for the most part, it does a really good job. It's quick too, which is important, because even if it could park accurately but not do it quickly, I think people wouldn't use it. But as you can see, we're now parked on the side of the road, and the car does a little diagram to make sure that, you know, it shows you it's good work. And there you go, car's done. So there you have it, some driving impressions from the TX 350 in the executive package with the 6-passenger model. And as you can see, the 4-cylinder is not too bad, especially for being a family hauler. It's not like you're gonna take it to the racetrack. It has smooth handling, a very soft ride, and overall is super practical and still luxurious. Thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. Probably I'll do another video like this again. If you like it, please let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll do the TX 500 as well. See you in the next one.